Shaman Tournament is underway and Yo manages to channel his Furyoku to land a single hit on Silva to take his ticket in the Oracle Bell. Welcome to Gamerturk's Onsen, it's me Gamerturk and I'm joined by Valgaf as usual. Hey there, Val, how are you doing?
Thank you, I'm fine. How about you?
Good, thank you. Just jumping straight into episode 5 then, Oversoul. I quite enjoyed this episode. Again, it's weird really. I can sense every single week so far. You could sense that things are going fast and it is kind of annoying me. But at the same time, I am really starting to have a good time despite feeling incredibly fast.
Yes, actually, I totally agree with you. I have very mixed feeling compared to this episode and as well as to the everything we have seen so far. Because as a standalone, this episode was quite good, to be honest. I really liked both the comedy parts and as well as the fight and some developments of characters, especially Yo. But on the other hand, as you mentioned, the pacing is still the issue, and adding the fact that we kind of remember what was in the old adaptation, it doesn't help in this case. So yeah.
Oh yeah. The first thing that came to my mind was like, are we getting the star at the beginning of the episode rather than as a cliffhanger at the end? Because that was what the original did, if I remember correctly. It was a cliffhanger at the end of an episode.
Yes, exactly. And here we just were given the entire thing. So yeah.
But again, much like last week, this was a single story for a single episode. So as you mentioned last week as well with Tokagero and stuff, it did work well in my opinion, despite again feeling fast. I feel like we're gonna mention this every single week. It is feeling fast. But again, today was a really good episode, just like last week.
Yes, as I already thought, episode was very good for me, and I really like especially the introduction of new character and how what was his role in the story, and the climax of the episode, which was the fight and Yo acquiring new power. But at the same time, I feel like some things were omitted, or maybe order was changed compared to the adaptation. So even though if I wanted to be super happy, I cannot be because of those issues we've been mentioning each week.
Oh yeah, the old anime, it's always a curse, as we mentioned.
Part of me is probably telling it because of the nostalgia of the old anime, because I grew up watching that old adaptation. But again, I believe part of it probably is true, that there are some issues here that there weren't issues there because some things were just adapted better in the old adaptation.
Or rather, not always adapted, because we had tons of additional scenes in the original anime.
Yes.
That's what you mean, probably.
Yes, exactly. Sorry for.
I have similar things towards the end as well. So when we get there, we'll probably have a nice chat about that as well. But
yes, okay.
Starting with the beginning, like Ryu scene with the kitchen, I really enjoyed that. Again, which was much more elaborate in the original anime. I do remember.
Yes. However, this one actually also played nicely as a beginning of the whole episode, and as the aftermath of what happened in the previous one. It was actually nice to see also some kind of relationship building, not only between Yo and Ryu, but also between Ryu and Anna. So there is not a focus on just one character, but the whole team is just being created, kind of, or at least that's what I have a feeling, that
the relationship being built between Ryu and Morty, Manta. I would add that as well, definitely, because we're gonna have the duo going up on their own right eventually. So that was nice to see as well.
Yes, as well. And also obligatory mention that Anna really looked nice with her kitchen clothes.
Oh, the one scene I really love when Ryu goes down on his knees. It's just the front of his hair perfectly matches the ground. It just slams into the ground like that. I really like that shot.
Yes.
But yeah, moving on. The beginning of the episode with the star coming. One thing I'll say, like the entire beginning intro there with Rago's appearance and them explaining, I felt like we just could have skipped the opening sequence and had this entire thing as the opening sequence, because the background music was really nice and building up as well with all that exposition. I felt like that could have really fit in well for the opening. I am not a fan of the opening, so I will usually prefer these kinds of stuff to become instead of the opening showing up.
So every excuse is good just to make sure that there is no opening. But actually, I have nothing to add here because I completely agree with you.
You had something to mention, I believe?
Yes, because we have seen a flashback. Well, it was shown as a flashback in this episode, like when Mosuke was actually possessing Ryo.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the old adaptation it was shown as an actual thing, not as a part of the plot rather than flashback here. But actually, I believe I can put up with it because I am already aware of their approach regarding their pacing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's
I also liked it as a flashback as well. I felt like they kind of nailed it. It was all about that Mosuke and Amidamaru moment, like going punches. That was the most key moment, and they captured that.
Yes, actually, well, for me in the old adaptation it was probably more impactful because it was not flashback and there was more focus on that. But as I said, since they have this kind of approach when it comes to pacing and so on, I believe it was the right decision to put it as a flashback, and yes, I agree with you, they kind of nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, when Rago was showing up, we had tons of people. Let me get to those scenes. I don't remember all of them, especially their names, but like the two kids with the kind of robot body, I do remember. I don't think, were they in the original anime, like maybe one episode? I do remember them from the manga.
Actually, if I were to be
no need to go too in depth with them, by the way, if you remember them.
I just wanted to agree with you that I don't remember them from the old adaptation.
Mm-hmm. So we see Tamao next to Yo's dad with Ponchi and Conchi, if I remember their names correctly. I still can't believe the raccoon did not get censored in its design in 2021. That's one of the biggest surprises I had. I was surprised back when it wasn't censored in 2000s when it was coming over to 4Kids, but goddamn, it's 2021 and he's still not censored. I am absolutely amazed. That's well done. On the left side, I have no idea who that lady is with the motorcycle. I don't remember her at all.
Same here.
Then we see an old guy in the left and another person with Spartans. I feel like I do remember a Spartan themed thing, but honestly, I am completely lost. There are so many people I don't remember instantly. I do remember the doll girls. I absolutely love them. They were a trio as well. The third person I do not see here, but I am looking forward to having them in the future, of course.
Actually, when it comes to dolls girls, I pretty much don't remember anything about them. So
I do. They were so cute and so creepy at the same time. They left an impression.
So at least we know that they will be shown later in the show because we've got some hints of them. So
yep. And then we see Horo. What was his name in the anime? Trey Racer? I think it was Trey Racer. We see Horo on the left and then the musician dudes on the bottom right. The musician dudes were so cringy in the dub. I am curious how it's gonna be.
Yeah, same here. We'll see.
And then of course we see Jun and Ren again.
Yes, Ren on his big white horse.
His horse is so fancy as well. Just look at the horse's hair.
I have no idea why it was added here, but whatever.
I was just showing everyone, and just showing them would be fine. I have no idea why they needed the dialogue. But goddamn, that horse, the hair is absolutely fabulous. The horse also has human eyes.
Yes, actually, I just wanted to say that those eyes are like, well, I don't know what to say when I look in the eyes of this horse, seriously.
Like, I can talk 5 minutes about this horse, but that would be... that wouldn't be optimal. But yeah, then we get introduced to Silva and stuff. And back in the city, I really like his street vendor attire. It looks incredibly weird with his hair slicked back and stuff.
Yes, it's kind of feel out of place, but on the other hand, I can see Silva feels quite natural with this attire. So
Oh yeah, definitely. I will talk more about him later as well because I have a lot of things to say about his voice in Japanese because we're used to the dub and stuff. But yeah, I generally really liked Silva. One of the things. Go ahead, because I'll
actually.
Go
and also I remember that back during the old adaptations, he was also one of my favorite character because I kind of was fan of what kind of powers he had and and maybe or maybe how well he was using them, because it was not only about pure power, but actually there was some thinking behind it. So I really like that fact. And also I like personality, because when he has to be serious, he's serious, but when it can be a little bit more comedy, so he can also act carefree. So I really like how well and balanced character he is.
And you mentioned comedy, I was gonna go there as well. In the original anime, these scenes had a lot more comedy, if I remember correctly. Like, he was going after Yo, and then his stuff was taken over by the police, so he had to go collect them and stuff.
Actually, I can't help with that, because I don't remember how it was in the old adaptation.
What I was going for was that one of the things going into the remake, I was curious how they would approach the technology, whether they would stick with the early 2000s as was the original, or they would try to modernize a couple things. And I am still clueless whether they are going with anything modernized or not, because so far all we have seen is the old as shit TV back at Yo's house when Anna is watching it, and we know they are poor, so that may just be because they are poor, but I want to see something, something more modern, just adapted a little to today's age rather than be 20 years old.
Well, as for the TV itself, I believe I already thought it was quite old in the old adaptation, so I don't see why would they have to make it look modern in the new adaptation.
No, I'm not talking specifically about the TV,
Yeah. What you mentioned, I wanted to refer to that. Yep. As for the other aspects, well, same as you, I haven't seen anything yet that would tell us what would be the approach regarding the technology and stuff, but, well, let's see.
The scene between Yo and Amidamaru before Silva arrives at the monument, I felt like that was a great scene. Like, really pushing Yo's personality there. Finally getting some scenes about Yo's personality.
Yes, exactly, because in the previous episode, even though there was some focus on Yo, we haven't actually seen this kind of him when it comes to what he's thinking and his personality. So and even actually some nice bonding with Amidamaru. So so it was certainly giving you a kind of satisfaction that you felt that yes, it was good that at this place and this moment they gave us something like that.
And that was the calm scene, and it still, bleeds into the entire fight. Yo's personality is constantly in focus throughout the fight. One of the things I really enjoyed throughout this episode is that Yo's personality was just shining through every single scene.
Yes, and actually going with this personality, I have to say that this time I really liked what Seiyu of Yo did in this episode. For me, it really went well with the entire scene, with the focus on Yo personality and what was actually it about.
The fight scene. What do you think about the entire fight scene, mind you?
Yes, I actually have to say that it was the strongest point of this episode. I enjoyed the entire fight really well, because we've got to see more of Silva and what kind of character he is, what kind of powers he has, and actually all his teammates, animals. I believe there was more comedy with them with the old adaptation, but here it was also a little bit of it, and it played quite well.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that as well. In fact, that was one of my main points about this episode. I felt like the personalities of the spirits, they were given absolutely zero screen time. I specifically remember, especially the eagle. He was a fucking dick.
Yeah, actually, he was a dick, but also he was this kind of funny dick that, for me at least, rather than annoying, he was kind of,
exactly.
funny.
In the original anime, he was the king of the entire fight scene. Him and Yo just going back and forth.
Yeah. They're arguing each other, was carrying everything, and here, well, maybe for someone who didn't watch the old adaptation, it was okay, but for us, something, well, you could say that something was missing.
Yeah. You can put it that way. I wasn't feeling something was missing really, but like, we didn't lose anything, but goddamn, I wanted to see the damn dickhead eagle arguing with Yo.
Yes.
One thing, people actually mentioned this in the previous videos as well. I didn't put any attention on it because, it was just a very minor change. It's Amidamaru's color scheme. Like, people mentioned it when he was going into the Hitodama mode. What's it? The soul orb thingy? Whatever it is, whatever the term is in English. It has been switched over to orange, this reddish aura. I wasn't expecting them to stick to the color scheme when Yo actually went into Oversoul mode by putting it in Harusame. They still kept it red, orangish, like fire, and that was... When it is that big, it is kind of distracting for me, I have to say.
Well, actually, let me put it this way. It wasn't something that I noticed it, but I didn't pay much attention to it, and I am quite indifferent regarding the coloring of.
I'll put it this way: I am not worried about how it looks right now. I am worried about what it'll look like in the future when we need the contrast between Amidamaru's color and the, other color.
Other colors, yeah.
Oh, what can I say without going into spoilers? Zeke. I'll say Zeke. Only the people who watch the original anime will understand what Zeke is. Okay. We kind of need that color contrast there, And blue, it really fit Yo as well, because blue is the color of calming nature, it's very calm, it's tranquil.
Yes, it's like water, and I would say water is the element that would describe Yo quite well.
Exactly.
His personality at least, and attitude. Actually, we'll see. As I said, right now I don't have any issues with that, and
just something to think about for the future, let's say.
Yes.
One of the many things that I also enjoyed was, how Silva is actually really nicely guiding Yo to the answer. Of course, things are happening a whole lot faster, so it's much more in your face than the original anime, rather than giving puzzles for Yo to solve. But his voice actor as well. I was gonna mention that early on, like back in the English dub, he has much more of this mysterious voice acting person. Whereas in the Japanese, he's really casual. His voice is really sticking. You can hear that he is there to not cause trouble for Yo, but he's trying to, help Yo throughout this entire fight to find his answer, etc.
Okay. Again, so you pretty much said everything regarding this thing, so...
Oh good, that's how I save time.
What can I add actually here? Sorry.
Maybe a favorite scene from this entire scene, like Yo turning Amidamaru into a ball and trying to throw it at Silva in hopes of hurting him.
Well, okay, let's move on.
Really? Nothing?
Yeah, Yes, I kind of lost the track of what I was going to say.
Okay, then. Then you wanted to talk about Manta and Ana scenes before we get to the end?
Yes, because it also, for me, it showed two things. One would be that you can see that despite the initial, let's say, cold attitude, you can see that there is something called relationship, let's say, that being formed between them. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say it's friends, but let's say that roots of respect for each other. But what is actually more important, we actually see Anna's perspective regarding the whole Shaman King issue and why does she think that Yo would be the most appropriate king. And actually, I have to say it really is an interesting explanation from her. And also we've got this fan service I Love Yo, which kind of went comedic because of Manta's reaction.
And but screw you, Manta.
Yeah, obligatory screw you, Manta. However, I really like the emotional impact, and you could see once again a more human side from Anna, which in my opinion should be shown as often as possible.
I would also add, back in the original anime, seeing something like this, Anna being really blunt with her words and making so strong statements, it kind of felt somewhat out of ordinary for me. And I only understood, after reading the manga, that specific chapter of the manga that we hope is not gonna get axed in the anime this time around. Like, the moment you know the chapter, you know exactly how that trust was built and how really strong that trust is and how Anna really mentions everything she says here about Yo.
Yeah, I agree with you. In the old adaptation, I was feeling that I can't get it. It really didn't click with me. The entire being super faithful to Yo and the trust and things like that. And here well, for now we still haven't been shown everything, but I like how they, just with baby steps, one thing at a time, showing us this connection between you and Anna. Let's hope that at some point they will show us the thing that will give us the whole picture.
Mm-hmm. Like in the original, it felt like Anna was there to, I'll become the Shaman Queen, whereas knowing that specific chapter that we hope is not gonna get cut this time around in the anime, it is really all about that trust.
Yes.
Yeah, moving on to the final scene. How do you feel about the surprise outro that we got this week? Do you recognize it?
What exactly are you talking about?
The outro. When Yo is going up against Silva, we had a different ending. Or was it an ending? Did you recognize the song? That's my question.
Okay, I didn't actually, got it.
It is the original opening song of the original anime in Japanese.
Okay, so I have excuse because I only know the Polish. The Polish intro, so yeah.
The English one was pretty fucking epic. I would have preferred to have it here, but obviously that wasn't gonna happen for obvious reasons. But the original song, it is also called Oversoul, which ties in with the moment perfectly. This was the theme for this scene. That was a perfect nostalgic surprise in my opinion, despite the fact that I don't have much nostalgia for the Japanese opening. Still, when the song kicked in, like 2-3 seconds, when my brain actually registered what that actually was, I was like, oh, they did it. I still wish it was the English opening, but that's besides the point.
I agree with you. I believe it was an intention from those people who created this episode to actually give us this feeling of nostalgia and even give more impact regarding this whole Oversoul thing in this episode. But as I said, for me it didn't click because I only know the Polish.
That's understandable.
Intro, so yeah.
But yeah, that final scene, it was really a nice one in my opinion. I particularly like how Silva is just casually grabbing a new bandana to put up as if he's carrying like hundreds of them as he's going to test out people. He just pulls the second one after Yo rips the first one and puts it back up.
Actually, when I saw his second bandana, I thought, wait a minute, when does this bandana come from? Is he just keeping in his pocket?
He's just carrying a giant bag behind him and carrying along hundreds of bandanas.
Yes, exactly. But okay, it's anime, so you don't have to be, super.
Exactly.
Super
he can pull a bandana out of his ass without anyone questioning. It's fine.
Yes. And it still won't be the most illogical thing. So.
But yeah, Oracle Bell was given. Again, that was the bit I was gonna mention, the technological stuff I was curious about, but since this episode didn't give us anything, if I remember correctly, Silva makes them in the original anime. Silva makes a mention how the Oracle Bell even has wireless functionalities, which was like a huge science fiction thing back in early 2000s. Wireless everywhere. Oh my god, how the fuck does that work? Like, you can't make that joke anymore if you don't modernize the concept of it. So that's what I was curious about, but that was entirely gone anyway. So.
Well, on the other hand, maybe we can just look at this way, that since he didn't mention anything about the wireless thing, we can assume that maybe it was so obvious because, the modern technology...
That's actually a good way to think about it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm just looking too much into it, but, you can take me half seriously, half jokingly here. But yeah, let us say this is my answer to you regarding this whole technology issue for now, because maybe we'll see in next episode whether they are aware of it or they will just go straight with the manga.
Speaking of the future, that end teaser, again, we mentioned the same thing over and over in the past 2-3 videos as well, but they actually did include Taoran killing his opponent properly, like impaling him with his spear. And every single time something like that happens in Shaman King, I'm always like, right, this is not the 4Kids version.
Yeah, this is really worth mentioning, to be honest. And then right now I'm seeing at this scene that the entire, maybe not the entire spear, but a big part of spear is actually, piercing this another.
Oh yeah, that guy is dead. Very dead.
Yeah, yes. With all the blood, and actually you can see both despair and shock on the face of that guy. So yeah, really props to this.
But Ren is not the only opponent. Next week's title is Yo versus Horo Horo, which we have mentioned earlier in the episode as well when we were going through Rago's reveals at the beginning with the star.
Yeah.
So yeah, do we have anything to say about it? I'm just waiting for the fight scene at this point.
Yes, actually on the fight scene, and actually we'll see just another shaman, so new powers, new character, probably. We know he will be quite important.
And you said you watched the original anime a couple episodes just to be able to compare, right?
Not watched, but just out of curiosity, just before we started talking, I just went to Wikipedia and just checked some episodes and summary is there.
Yeah, that's fine. Do correct me if I'm wrong, or if you check that much. Didn't Yo and Trey actually met up before their fight without knowing they were their opponents?
This is what I wanted to mention to you, because in this, here as of now in the new adaptation, it seems we don't know how they will play it, but for now, Yo and Horo Horo, or Trey, let's maybe use this
Trey Racer.
Yeah, super cool name. But I believe when I was, during the old adaptation, I was at this age that this name could be cool for me, but not anymore because I'm now old.
I mean, I was 10 years old. It was a fucking cool name, I can tell you.
Yeah. So, but as I said, here in new adaptation, it seems that for now, Yo and Trey don't know each other, but the old adaptation actually Trey appeared earlier, and there was already some of his backstory, and he already built some kind of relationship with Yo, and actually this played some part and gave more drama to their fight. Yeah. So I am wondering how they're gonna do it in the new adaptation.
Wondering is a strong word, because we both read the manga at some point and we know it happens this way. Just to put it out there before people comment, oh, this and that happens. We know. It's just that we remember the old anime adaptation better than we remember the manga.
Yes, exactly. That's very important point to mention, that we remember more the old adaptation than the manga.
Yes, don't worry, Val, I got you. I got you covered.
Thanks.
Well, yeah, that's all we have to mention, right? Do you want to add anything?
Well, actually,
we've been recording for 36 minutes at this point. So.
Okay, but we kind of touch this subject with Trey, so we can just go on about this in the next week, and we'll see.
Yep. I feel like that's gonna be better. So yeah, if there's nothing else, thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next week when we see yet another fight. It's gonna be the first fight, right? Yes, the first in the... Did Silva even mention this episode how the preliminaries are gonna go? Because otherwise I'm not gonna say anything. I don't think he said anything in this episode.
I think he didn't.
Okay, then that's how we're closing it. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week when we have a fight. Bye bye. Thank you. Stay cool.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.